welcome to everyone who has signed up to join us on this webinar, the distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience, and our panelists. We thank you so much for supporting us on this. Thank you for being on this webinar. We recognize that so many people are logging in, are signing up or registered actually from different parts of the country, from outside of the country, from Dubai, the Oracle NetSuite team, from Europe, from America, from West Africa, from Kenya. So we say a warm welcome to every one of you. And we say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you're signing in from. So we do hope that today's session will be insightful once again, like the other section, and impact the value that we intend. So today is the 5th edition of the Going Digital Nigeria webinar series organized by VM Professional Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about going digital manufacturing. So we recognize the role that the manufacturing sector plays in any developing economy. And our webinar series will not be complete if we do not do something that will at least bring some insights and deepen the business of manufacturers in the area of technology and then navigating the pandemic. So today's session will be focused on all that. So we have on our panel the Director General of the Manufacturers, the Acting Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Ambrose Oruche. You're welcome, sir. Please say hello to our audience.
Hello, audience. Thank you, Vivian, for inviting us, making us be part of this program.
Thank you, sir. So the second speaker on our panel is Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe, the founder of Zenvus and Fasmicro Group. So, Prof, please say hello to our audience.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a moment connecting here from United States. Thank you so much for having me, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, welcome, Prof. The third speaker on our panel is Chinedum Ucheoma. Chinedum is a manager at Oracle NetSuite and he's dialing in all the way from Dubai as well. So Chinedum, please say hello to our audience.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. I hope we get the best out of this session today.
Yeah, we hope so too. So, and the second panelist from Oracle NetSuite is also someone who a lot of people seem to love you, Samir, from social media. So Samir Ougouag is joining us too from Dubai. Samir, please say hello to our audience.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your time today. And I really look forward to share with you how Oracle NetSuite can help you grow in the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. Looking forward to speak to you.
Thank you. Welcome, Samir. So my name is Vivian Chigozie-Nmonwu. I'm going to be your host on this webinar and the moderator. And to support me here is my partner and co-founder at VM as well, Magnus. Magnus, please say hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm hoping that our Chinese panelists, would like to address them, will be able to do justice to the topic, and that all our attendees and all the joiners on all other social media platforms will be able to take away one or two important things today. Thank you very much, Vivian.
Thank you, Magnus. So we're going to go through some rules, some house rules. First off is you can ask your questions as you're listening. You can ask your questions by clicking on the Q&A tab on your webinar. On the foot tools, you'll see some icons at the bottom of your webinar page. So you can ask your question there, or you can send an email to clients@vm.com as the webinar goes on to ask your question or make any comment, and our team will get it. Then you can also raise hand if you want to speak, but that we'll have time for all that, for the question and answers, for the open questions as well. And then we encourage interactiveness, so you can introduce yourself, you can make use of the chat tab as well to introduce yourself, your business, so we all collaborate and everybody gets to know you and what you're doing. You can also share the program and the topic and hype it on social media. That would be very nice. And remember to tag VM, to tag Oracle NetSuite, to tag Fasmicro Group, to tag MAN. So let's create the hype so that people can know about the program. So you're welcome. So the panelists will be speaking, presenting for 15 minutes to 20 minutes each, after which we'll take such short questions and some recap. Then after all the speakers must have gone through their presentations, we'll then take the general questions and the general recap. So once again, this is VM Professional Solutions. So VM is a technology-focused tax audit and advisory services firm. Our unique approach to market is using technology tools, both the ones we built in-house and the third-party technology tools to solve business problems, that's business financial problems. So we have our own in-house technology tools on tax and on HR, and we also partner with third parties on ERP and accounting solutions. So if you need help with setting up any digital tools for your business, including e-commerce and website, VM can help you. So a bit about VM. VM was the first professional services firm to be engaged by the FRS to publish tax educational series in a national newspaper. It was Tax Discourse. Then we also partnered with the Catholic Church in Lagos to bring tax and business advisory training to people. We developed the first tax law app, Compendium, tax law book, which solved the problem of carrying the tax laws in a big binded book version. So we made it mobile for people, and it was first released in the stores in 2015 and rebranded again in 2020. And it now contains all the provisions of the Finance Act as updated to date. It's on Android and iOS stores. Our VM Talent Assist is our people software, a web application to assist talents generally. Then we partner with Oracle NetSuite, Sage, QuickBook, Xero, Wave App, Shopify, and other website platforms to deliver end-to-end solutions to businesses. Then we also have a foundation that our partners founded, which is MSME Crowdfunding Foundation. It can help businesses to get funding to crowdfund. So by the time the Nigerians begin to gain trust in crowdfunding, which we hope will be very soon, we can see the usefulness of crowdfunding as against the traditional loan application. Because if, for instance, the MAN Group, the Manufacturers Association, which is a strong association in Nigeria, if you're following the news and seeing how they direct the policy that relates to manufacturing in Nigeria, you know that is a strong group. If they decide to say, okay, we're crowdfunding this project or crowdfunding one or two of our members, and if there are about 1,000 or 10,000 manufacturers in Nigeria, and each person brings on 1,000, you can imagine the multiplier effect. And it happens that way over and over, so people don't have to, go suffer the issue of funding. So that's the purpose of crowdfunding. So going straight into the presentation for today, the first speaker is Ambrose Oruche. We're going to read out Ambrose's profile. Mr. Ambrose is the Acting Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. He's a professional administrator with over 30 years experience across industries, including banking, security. Oluwaseun, please hold, I see your hand raised, but we'll get to you, please. Including banking, security, business enterprise, private and public sector development. He currently serves as Acting Director General of MAN, a business membership organization saddled with the responsibility of promoting friendlier business environment for manufacturers in Nigeria. Amongst many contributions he has made, Oruche was on the committee that determined products exportable in Nigeria, was part of UNIDO Information Networking for Technology, Investment and Business Program, 1997 to 1999, was involved in a countrywide survey of companies that can be included for investment promotion organization by NIPC and UNIDO 2001 to 2002, took part in techno-economic survey of MAN's 10 industrial sectors conducted by Raw Materials Research and Development Council 2003 to 2007, and represented Nigeria's private sector on ECOWAS Common External Tariff and ECOWAS EU Economic Partnership Agreement negotiations. Today, he will share insights into the business of manufacturing in a pandemic, how MAN is assisting manufacturers in Nigeria, including engagement with the government, what the government is doing to assist manufacturers, if any, and how manufacturers can tap into it, what they can do to strengthen their respective businesses, thrive, grow, and possibly lift the economy out of recession. So, Mr. Oruche, some analysts have said that manufacturing industry will be one of the industries to actually help Nigeria and then the global economy come out of recession because of the productivity that creates wealth within manufacturing. So to what extent do you agree with this? And then from there, you can take on your presentation. So I'll yield the floor to you to give us your insights as to what manufacturers are doing now and what can be done by government to help them. Please let me know if you would like to share your screen, sir. So you can go ahead now and make your presentation.
Okay, thank you once again for inviting the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria to be part of this 5th series of your webinar. I want to welcome as many that are viewing us from Nigeria, from wherever you are viewing us. You are welcome to this program. I believe there are so much we are going to discuss today. And I believe also that the government or policy makers are also part of the viewing public. Yes, Vivian, manufacturing is an engine of growth in any economy that wants to develop. So it should be a targeted sector for recession, for getting out of recession for any economy. So let me start my presentation. Sorry, I'm not sharing my presentation because I got your notes very late. So we were not able to get things put in place. Let me, but I will share my presentation based on what you sent to us. First, the insight into the business of manufacturing within a pandemic. So my presentation has the contents. So I will take it one after the other. Like you all know that the COVID pandemic came to everyone as a surprise, not only manufacturers, no one expected it. It came globally like that. So like many other sectors in the economy, the manufacturing sector was also badly hit following the outbreak of the COVID-19. Promoters of businesses and leaders of the private sector organizations are equally challenged by these unexpected disruptions that has happened in the business. But they are responding with different strategies depending on the degree of capacity and resources at their disposal. Truth be told, the virus, which currently has no cure, ushered in an era of unexpected change and offers some learning curves that requires huge response capacity to at least minimize its effects and dispel accompanied very that. And also learning for us to have some learnings from this event that were unexpected. The virus has opened the golden box of silent truth that government and leaders of private sector organizations need to quickly work on to remain relevant and guarantee survival. For instance, it has become clear that what worked few months ago may no longer be effective. You know, a few months ago, we can meet ourselves, we can shake hands, we can talk to each other. But currently now, the new normal is for us to talk online, for us to use digital technology to do. So it has disrupted a lot of things and then created a lot of things that we manufacturers and businesses should begin to see how we can, as an association, one of the instruments that we assist us to gauge the pulse of our members is our research, what we call Manufacturer CEO's Confidence Index. It's a quarterly assessment that we carried out by our research team carried out. And then the last quarter, although the second quarter is on the works, the first quarter shows a decline. From the research carried out, the first quarter of 2020 reports of manufacturer CEO confidence reveal an aggregate index of 44.4 percentage points against 51.9 percentage points that was reported at the fourth quarter of 2019. You recall that the COVID started in mid-December, and then in January there was disruption in the value chain as there is a constraint in moving of raw materials as a result of export restriction imposed by some countries that produce basic raw materials. So that affected the performance of manufacturing sector at this first quarter. Fundamentally, the first quarter MCCI, aggregate index, and indexes of various diffusion factors all fell below 50-point benchmark. We therefore showed that manufacturing sector is indeed in a precarious state and requires a lifeline to recover fully from the impact of the outbreak of COVID-19. Losses associated with the lockdown period. During the lockdown period, there was so much losses by manufacturers who must be physically present in the office to be able to operate their machines. You can't produce goods remotely. That's the basic challenge that manufacturers had during that complete lockdown period. And then they also created multi-dimensional challenges after the lockdown, when the easing of lockdown started in Nigeria, particularly in the first week of May, it creates a lot of challenges. So we further discovered that a decline in the capacity utilization, which also affected the volume of production. The volume of production drastically reduced as a result of pandemic. The pandemic left no stone unturned in getting the investment, manufacturers' investment to recorded zero because no one was investing as the business was not fully operational. So that's how we felt at that period. The next issue I want to look at is how is man assisting manufacturers in Nigeria, including engagements with the government. Prior to the COVID-19 incident, the mandate of the association is primarily targeted at promoting friendly business environment for manufacturers. But given the critical times associated with the season, the association ensured a more frequent engagement and drove speedy implementation through frequent engagement with government, relevant agencies, media, and other stakeholders. A critical move that we did at that time was to ensure that Nigerians did not suffer from hunger virus, in addition to the threat provided by the COVID-19. So we had a serious discussions with government to ensure that limited operations are going on by some essential manufacturers in food, beverages, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare sector. So that keeps some of the some few organizations going on. Even though we got the backing of government for this class of manufacturers to operate, we still have to battle restrictions from overzealous security operatives on free movement of raw materials and finished goods within the category of the industries that we had an agreement with government to be in operation because of their relevance in ensuring that Nigerians still survive hunger while fighting COVID-19. We intervened on a series of arrests by the overzealous security agents on some of our members, and then stop operations of others across different states. Following the recommendations from MAN at a meeting with Nigerian Governors Forum, before the national lockdown, the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, His Excellency Dr. Kayode Fayemi, assured us that the forum will carry out the following: develop a protocol that will be well-defined for manufacturers to work with, so they can freely move their goods across the region. They assured us fully ready to work with us and the Food Privilege and Tobacco Employers Association to define food and pharmaceuticals as essential items and clear the air of confusion. Conduct a national capacity review for all states to have a more coordinated and uniform directive for ease of operation. They also assured us that they will work with us an even ending approach on the issue of ensure that the essential commodities that are produced by members are moved across the states. So we give kudos to Nigerian Governor Forum for their assistance at that period that they were needed. So for the purpose of assisting members, particularly manufacturers of essential products and the value chain involved, we created what we call a COVID WhatsApp group for members to share their various challenges, to share issues they are facing, in producing, getting to the factory, and also producing. Through that process, we have over 200 members very active as daily challenge reported were resolved. It was also used as an information sharing portal to equip members on new development and policies of government as it relates to manufacturers during the period. Now, just like we are used to doing, we advocated on behalf of members to speak against unfriendly policies and make recommendations to government on how things can be better done. The next question is, what is government doing to assist manufacturers, and how manufacturers can tap into it, if any? Well, in addition to government, in addition to giving man a listening ears on behalf of manufacturers, came out through central bank with what they call intervention funds at a single-digit interest rate, I think 5%. It is a threefold intervention funds: 1 trillion for manufacturing and agriculture, 100 billion for health sector and pharmaceuticals, and 50 billion for SMEs and households. This intends to, this is in a bid to help to cushion the effect that COVID-19 created. We also had a situation room created by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment for quick resolution of issues and challenges that essential manufacturers were facing during that period. We must at this point, appreciate the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, the Permanent Secretary of Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and then the Director of Industry, who were there during the lockdown. Despite the restrictions imposed on movement, they were constantly going to the office to ensure that the needs of manufacturers, the challenges that manufacturers are going through, are quickly resolved. Clearly, these packages that the government had improved access to affordable long-term loans, sustained inward-looking policy, government inward policy, and further reduced propensity to import with the aim of building a resilient economy. The association is also looking forward to a favorable policy direction from government in a bid to give manufacturers an easy learning experience post-COVID-19. So we, working together with government, there are a lot of policies that have been done, a lot of issues have been achieved. The issue I need to look at is what manufacturers in Nigeria can do to strengthen their respective businesses for them to thrive, grow, and possibly help to lift the economy out of recession. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me, in a new normal that we are in now, manufacturers are first advised to take seriously safety measures. So it's part of what we, in our initial program we did, was to encourage our members to put in place, safety measures for their employees in order to flatten the curve or reduce the risk of further spreading of the disease, so that we can get back our lives gradually. Man believes that human lives cannot be equated to wealth, and thus manufacturing activities should take place within the safest environment. So what can manufacturers do? Our advice to our members is to carry on with their production exercise and work with gradual scaling up to make up for the losses incurred, and get the association involved on possible interventions they need to ease the need for their business to go on. Well, lifting the economy out of recession will be gradual, and it will take concerted effort by government, not only manufacturers. So government will be willing to incentivize manufacturers. They'll be willing, at a point, we ask government to declare manufacturing sector as an emergency in order for it to attract attention that is needed for that sector to be able to create jobs, to be able to create wealth, to be able to sustain the economy. So government should ensure, well, one of those things that we requested at that particular time is that government should ensure that all regulatory agencies such as Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Ports Authority, Standard Organization of Nigeria, and etc. should treat all requests from manufacturers expeditiously, and then we require sensitivity to the prevailing situation. At the same time, should prevail on all relevant agencies to strictly comply with the provision of Executive Orders 001, 003, and 005. Now, what that implies is that if Nigerians, if the MDAs or government agencies patronize locally made manufacturing goods, it will help the manufacturers to come out of recession. It will also help the economy to get back and come out of recession. But when consumers depend or patronize largely imported products, it will be more injurious to manufacturers. So we are pleading and asking Nigerians to encourage manufacturers by patronizing locally made products. Thereby the sales will increase. And at this point, we'll be able to employ more, create more wealth, create more jobs, and be able to pay more revenue to government to ensure that government continue to be sustainable. So these are my thoughts, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir, for the insightful presentation, short and straight to the point, and captures everything that manufacturers need to know as to what the government and the association is doing to assist manufacturers. We have some few questions to ask before the next speaker comes to the floor. So one of the questions I have, personally, I have a question before I read out the one from the audience. I'd like to know to what extent that manufacturers have benefited from the intervention loan, because a whole lot of people are complaining about the intervention loan, especially MSMEs. So I want to know what it's like within manufacturing and agriculture. Did people really benefit from these loans? Have applications been honored and paid out yet? That is number one question. And then the second question, I was talking about, I know that there are pockets of producers here and there, shoe and bag producers, agricultural forum here, steel producer, a lot of producers here and there. And I'm asking, is the man taking cognizance and putting their umbrella over all these pockets of manufacturers in Nigeria? How do you reach out to everybody, all these pockets of groups, to make sure that they all tap into the interventions by the government and the government support, as you just shared. So those are the two questions I have. Please, we'd like you to assist us with the answers. Thank you, sir.
For the loan interventions that are released by Central Bank, the 1 trillion intervention funds that was created for manufacturing and agri, the conditions is just being released. So, and I know that you have to apply through your bank, you know, but that means that is if you have a diversification program you need to do for your factory, you know, or if you are doing a backward integration, it's not really meant for all manufacturers. There is a condition that will enable you to take advantage of the loans. The same thing applies for the 50 billion naira SME and household loans. From the news item that was released, I think last week, we were told that about 49 billion has been shared. You know, whether it went to manufacturers or households, I don't know. But I know that those that are interested, because the condition for that is that that loan is a maximum of 25 million. Many of our members did not find it suitable enough because what they need is in about 25 million. So they didn't find it worthwhile to apply for that. But I know that for pharmaceuticals and also the loans are still subsisting, is still there, and is for those that are interested. It's not a DASH, it's not a grant, but a loan that you have to justify that you have been affected negatively by the COVID-19. So before you can have access to that. So I know that businesses are also taking advantage of that. For the second question, MAN has a membership strength of 3,500 manufacturers. MAN is a voluntary organization. We are also making effort to get every manufacturer. But in Nigeria, if you are adding value, if you are processing, and you are not a member of MAN, your credibility will be questioned. So that's why I'm appealing to my listeners this afternoon in Nigerian time. If you are manufacturing or adding value, processing, you need to be a member of MAN. Come and get your membership form and apply to be a member of MAN because you need it. It will give you credibility. It will let everyone know that you are manufacturing. So we are reaching out. We have about 14 branches nationwide, reaching out to industries and factories within that area, sharing, making available information that they needed for their business growth. And we are almost in every part of the nation.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So in addition to being the member of MAN to get authentication, manufacturers actually need to collaborate because the new normal has taught us that nobody can now survive alone. You have to collaborate with a network of reliable partners. So that's one advantage of joining MAN now.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
So we'll take 2 more questions and then we'll go to the next session. Then if there is any other question at the end, we'll take it at the end of all the presentations. So the first question here on the box is, how is MAN interfacing with LCCI to support local businesses? I take it that is Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry to support local businesses.
Okay, like I said, we have a platform that all business membership organizations in Nigeria operates, known as OPSN, Organized Private Sector of Nigeria. That's the platform we gather to share ideas, to look at issues that are affecting businesses. And then also as a strength, as organized private sector, we take the issue to government for resolution. So we are collaborating together. We are working together as as organized private sector. So we have a platform we use to support businesses in Nigeria.
Thank you, sir. So there's another question that says, the interest, what's the interest at which the FG intervention loans are being given to small scale manufacturers, and if terms like collateral are applicable? Okay, this one, he has answered it before, is 5% interest rate, single digit. So you can send an email to clients@vm.com on this, or you don't need to send an email, we'll respond to you. Just send us, or rather send us your email so that we can get back to you with details of collaterals and requirements for the application so that we can move on with the program. Please, Basil Nnamdi, send an email to clients@vm.com and we'll assist you with that. So thank you, sir, for your insightful session. Please do stay around to take questions, more questions at the end. So we're going now to the second panelist, Prof. Ndubuisi Ekekwe, MBA, PhD. Prof, you're still there.
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much. I'm here.
Yeah, founder and chairman, Zenvus and Fasmicro Group. Prof. Ndubuisi invented and patented a robotic system used in minimal invasive medical robots, which the US government acquired assignee rights to its technology in 2017. Prof holds 2 doctoral and 4 master's degrees, including a PhD in electrical and computer engineering from the Johns Hopkins University, USA. He earned a BEng Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Federal University of Technology, Owerri, where he graduated as his class best graduating student. Of course, during this time at the Analog Devices Corps, he worked in the team that designed an accelerometer for the iPhone, and he created the company's first wafer level scale package for inertial sensors. Prof, please.
Yeah, I think it's okay, and I can just start. Thank you.
Okay, let me just finish. He's a recipient of IGI Global Book of the Year Award, a TED Fellow, IBM Global Entrepreneur, and World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. He has served in the US National Science Foundation, ERC, E&D Committee, and he's the founder of Zenvus, a global leading precision AG tech company, and chairman of Fasmicro Group. He continues to write in the Harvard Business Review and is a selection board member of the 100 million Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program. So Prof will be sharing insights as to the significance or role of the manufacturing sector in a developing economy, how Nigeria and Africa can strengthen its manufacturing sector within and post a pandemic such as this, and how technology can help with references to the methods adopted by developed countries. So I yield the floor to you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a moment and a great privilege to have this opportunity of speaking before you all in this capacity. I'm speaking from United States of America, and I want to say it to all of us and all of you there in Nigeria and around the world. Great good morning. So I want to begin this conversation on manufacturing, the essence, the necessity, and the importance of this critical sector of our national economy by taking you back to a curve. It's a GDP plot of 2 dominant economies today, the GDP of China and the GDP of United States of America. And if you go back about 2,000 years, you will see there was a time when the world was largely a flattened GDP. If you combine the GDPs of nations, you will see that over a significant period of time that the GDP was flat. And if the GDP is flat, when the population was increasing, the implication is that the world was actually moving generation to generation into abject poverty, because the per capita income was actually decelerating. Because if more people are being added into the world and the GDP was flat, it means people were getting poorer. These things happen across all economies. man was living in a society of invention. But a time came when, if you go back roughly about 500 years from today, around 1700s, you see that the GDPs of nations started ramping up. There is a redesign, something happened. Why, from a flattened GDP over centuries, we began to see GDPs going in exponential form. The implication is that the world has moved from an inventive society into an innovation society. Innovation society is a society that produces goods and services. An inventive society is a society of ideas, postulations, and talking. People can tell you about products and services, but they can't create them because they do not have the capabilities to actually make those things happen. So when we talk about manufacturing in Nigeria, what we are actually expecting, or what we are hoping, that we will move from an inventive society that just talks about solutions to problems into a society that actually gives people products and services. If I need a clean drinking water in a village in Zamfara State, that is a product a manufacturing system should give me. It's a product that a production system will give me. But if you go to Zamfara today, many people will tell you how clean water can come. But when you wake up in the morning, and you wake up next week, next 1 month, you can't find easy potable drinking water. That means there is a dislocation between a society of ideas and a society of products and services. Manufacturers are agents of innovation. They are the people that help us transition from being inventive societies into innovation societies. Remember that inventive societies are not societies of people that are not smart. In short, some of the most intelligent people that led us in physics and chemistry, many of them lived here. So the postulation, construct, model, processes and system, capabilities that we have seen across generations of men and women, some of the fundamental things were actually developed by them, but many of them died poor. When they died, even their families could not afford graveyards because they live on ideas. They did not live for product services. They did not have manufacturing systems. They do not have production systems. And until nations can have the capacity to have manufacturing systems, they will not rise. Because the rise of nations is essentially the ability to organize, optimize, utilize the factors of production. And the factors of production are essentially instruments of elemental constructs upon which manufacturers help us to make use of. So, but before we go into that, understanding those elements, the key question is why do we really have these fundamental constructs? You know, we're talking about the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the umbrella that helps us to coordinate people that make things that all of us use in the beautiful nation, Nigeria. Of course, in market systems, we have the demand and supply. They have to come into a relationship before we can actually have frictions, which are evident in markets fix. I come to Lagos, I'm hungry, and I want to eat food. Let's assume there is no restaurant. What do I have to do? I have to be knocking at every door in Lagos looking for somebody that has food to settle. And I may be lucky, but most times you agree with me that that is not an effective system. So what happens? Somebody wakes up in the morning, he says, I'm going to start a restaurant, ABC Mama Put restaurant. So when I'm hungry in Lagos, instead of knocking at every door in Lagos, I go to that ABC Mama Put restaurant to eat. Mama Put restaurant has become a production system, has become a company that is fixing a friction between the demand and supply, between the customer, between the producer, because market systems are naturally imperfect because of information asymmetry. I have an information that I'm hungry, and she has food in her house, but she doesn't know. So what happens is that only companies can fix that friction by making it possible that demand and supply can come into an equilibrium point. So I want to have where to buy a toothpaste. Unfortunately, let's assume there is no company that makes it in Nigeria. There is no man subsidy, there is no man membership that does that. I can't find toothpaste to buy. So what happens? Maybe I can use shoot best. But somebody has discovered there is a friction, there is a need for that, he builds it, he makes it, she makes it, then that product comes into the market. And when it comes into the market, it dissolves that friction because I can now buy that product. By buying that product, I am now paying for the services that our company has offered to me. So this elemental construct is what happens in the framework of market systems. Demand and supply, they come into contact, creating a near perfect system from an imperfect system. And companies are agents that actually make those things happen. That is the reason why we have companies. And for these companies to serve us in the ways, helping us to fix those market frictions, they need to have capabilities. And that is where the deal is. There are problems we have in Nigeria today. We know those things are opportunities. But unfortunately, we do not have the capabilities that can actually help us fix them. So in our manufacturing system, the question comes down, how can we build those capabilities that can actually help us to elevate, not just solving problems at the downstream sector, but also solving problems in the upstream sector. When I say the downstream, upstream, I'm not just talking about the petroleum industry. I'm talking about every aspect of our economic system. We wait for somebody to tell us that we have to create a product in Zamfara, in Abia State, in any part of this country before we can have drinking water. What solution do we need for us to provide electricity? These are challenges that we have had for decades. It turns out the capabilities are not there and we have not been able to use them. But now, what is the role of this manufacturing sector to help us to move from this flattened GDP into this exponential one? It comes out that the manufacturing sector now has to help us to organize the factors of production. And the organization of the factors of production becomes the most important thing in any economic system. In short, nations rise when entrepreneurial capitalism emerges in an economy. And entrepreneurial capitalism usually is a product of manufacturing or production system. When I'm talking about manufacturing production system, I really mean the essence of farms. It's not just about people that build physical things. Someone that codes is in the production system. Somebody that farms is in the production system. Somebody that can even help you build software systems, they are on a production system. So ability to combine them, ability to recombine them, ability to deploy them, making them more efficient for you to fix these frictions which exist between demand and supply becomes exceedingly important. So the role of the manufacturer is making sense of how to organize these factors of production. And as the manufacturer does that, he or she makes sure that frictions, which are problems in the market systems, are fixed. And that requires knowledge. That requires capital. That requires labor. Of course, we can also talk about land, but most times land is not necessarily a very critical factor anymore because most of these manufacturing systems are knowledge manufacturing systems. So but the most important element is the spirit of entrepreneurial capitalism. In Nigeria, most times we are expecting the government has to lead. But if you go back through history, one of the things you realize that some of the finest economies have been economic systems where entrepreneurial legends rose out of nowhere to build a new ordinance that made it possible for nations to rise. If you go back to the United States of America, you see a man like Andrew Carnegie. Before he went into the steel industry, there was no steel industry in America. He pioneered that sector and he gave America the templates of how the steel industry will rise. You go back to a man called Rockefeller. There was no any element of organized energy sector in America until Rockefeller built one. And out of Rockefeller, many companies today, like ExxonMobil, Chevron, they were out of the Standard Oil. My point is this. Nigeria has to move beyond these constructs that government has to be perfect, that the nation has to be perfect before our entrepreneurial legends can arise. It's not never that way, because most times the promises of politicians are taxes of the citizens. Unless companies can generate revenue and pay taxes, government will not have resources to actually get to that level where we need government to be. So the challenges of the nation are actually problems that market systems have to fix, because politicians, they are not necessarily there to solve the big problems. They are necessarily there possibly to provide a rule book upon which companies can rise. You go to bank in the United States, JP Morgan, these were BY Mellon, they came out, even started the industry before the government had any clue about it. So Nigeria necessarily cannot expect our manufacturing sector most times to government to lead it. The Nollywood is the production system. Government had no clue when Nollywood started. But I knew that when Nollywood started, government started a regulation. Of course, government would like to regulate you so that you don't break yourself. That is a normal thing. But the point, if we do what we have done in Nollywood, if we do that in electronics, microprocessors designs, we do that in semiconductor design, if we do that in mechanical engineering domains, and then we can essentially begin to find a way out, despite the paralysis from government, we will realize that the 200 million people in Nigeria can technically help us to fix market frictions, and we will largely be fine. I am not saying that we have to ignore government, but my point is this, that nations typically see a more dominant private sector most times before you see a very stable public sector. You may say that China is different. China is not necessarily different, because China has been cut out of the world for years. China had no impact until when the economy of China was integrated into the world. The Chinese state capitalistic market system now allow these companies to go into the world, build great revenue base back into China. That was the time China started having dominant impact. So market systems are very critical for any economic system. The greatness of America today is not because they have very good bombs. The greatness of America is because they have companies like Google, they have companies like Facebook, Intel, Qualcomm. And if you go to United Kingdom, the same thing. Nigeria has to figure out how we can get through that paralysis. And that is the role manufacturing sectors play in an economic system. They help nations to rise. So the strengthening of the manufacturing sector, there are so many elements to that. The first one is the tax code. I do believe vividly that we need to look into how taxation can stimulate the greed, the elemental pure greed of capitalism. You know, we do hear many times that GE did not pay tax for many years. Of course, the common one here is that Amazon wanted to expand its system, and American municipal cities were competing which particular city Amazon would choose. Some will say, I'll give you $1 billion tax rebate. Another will say, I'll give you land free. So cities were competing. Who will give more to Amazon for Amazon to actually set up a second headquarters in their city? So that is how tax code can help stimulate dynamism in an economic system. I'm not talking about the preferential tax code we have in Nigeria, where they know the people they want to do it. I am talking about something that is evidently open to everyone. When you go into it, you know what you are getting. And if we use that tax code, we can stimulate more energy in our manufacturing sector. Of course, another thing here is this, the relationship between the university system and our manufacturing sector. There is one thing our tax system can do. If I give $1,000 to Federal University of Technology Owerri today, government sees it as an expense. But if I give that money to a school in America, it becomes tax deductible. So that means that why I don't have any incentive to give to a university in Nigeria, because I don't become better by giving money out. But in America, if I give money to a school, I can actually use it to deal with other problems in my company. So there is an incentive for me to give more to schools, because giving more to schools makes me better. So Apple will say, I want to give $20 million to community colleges in America so that they can train young people in a specific sector of our business. As Apple is giving that $20 million, Apple is getting a letter, a receipt from the school saying, this $20 million is tax deductible. But if Apple does the same thing in Nigeria, it becomes an expense in his books and it has no practical value to it. So that is the way, if nations or if our country can go back to our tax code, we can stimulate things that will deepen the knowledge base upon which the manufacturing sector can actually benefit from. I don't expect them to be giving and be very generous to the system because there is no way the system allows them to actually benefit from being generous. Of course, I notion here the intellectual property rights is a very critical element of this business system because nations are designed that if I come up with an idea, will I have the benefit of actually taking advantage of that idea? You know, if you go back to this curve, there is something that happened in 1796. The first US patent to Samuel Hopkins was awarded. Before then, people just come out with an idea and you commercialize it, take it to the market. People rip it off, no protection. But now the US government said, no, we are not going to allow that to happen. If you come up with an idea, we're going to give you a protection so that over a period of time, you can recoup the money that you have spent doing that. And when that happened, people that had money put under their pillows would say, hey, Mr. Adamu, come here. The other thing you showed me that day, can you take this $200 and go and commercialize it and make sure you get a patent from the government because we have about 20-something years for us to make money out of this idea. But in Nigeria, those things are not evidently possible. And because these things are not evidently possible, the propensity for people to spend money looking for that new great idea may not be there. I experienced it myself. When I finished from university, I built a small software for supply chain management using Microsoft Access. I was serving in Jos. I took it to Panshin, Jankano, Terminus Market. There is a street called the Panshin Street. And I bought it in a CD. I sold it to people there in the computer center, said, please help me distribute this. We share revenue. I give you 30% if you can help me sell some. People came on board. I came back the next week. They have already multiplied the same CDs to many, many copies. I called the policeman and said, sir, I sold 10 to these people and they now have more than 200 here. The man said, oh, they pirate Microsoft software and they are pirating your own. Why are you disturbing us here? So the police didn't help me. And since that day, I knew I was on my own. So I left that business. So the point I'm making is this. Nigeria has to deal with intellectual. Of course, we have our usual demons of corruption. Of course, if we have to take care of those demons, we can strengthen the manufacturing sector. But I want to quickly go to the new normal. The new normal is that technology ordinance is going to change the trajectory of market system because before the pandemic came, COVID-19, we've taken many things for granted. There were a lot of things we were doing today we would not have done before. This conversation might not have even happened. So what we are seeing today, that the world is moving to remote everything. So if a manufacturer, how are you preparing your workforce? Are you giving them the opportunity that they can learn remotely? How are you training your sales team? How are you preparing, making sure that they can actually deliver sales services through the web? So many of them that have not believed on the power of the internet. This is actually the time for them to go back and see how they can change because the future is actually evolving. And now they also look at their supply chain. Supply chain has to be hybridized. It has to be flexible. It has to be adaptable. If everything has depended on China before, this is the time for you to think, can I have a supply chain system that also has a local component? So that if there is disruption in China, can I find an alternative in Ghana, in ECOWAS region at worst, or even if within Nigeria? That decision has to be made. Then automation is key. When people talk about chatbot, AI, robotics, how can people be working even when humans are not working? This is the opportunity of the future, and we have to to consider them. Of course, the last one I want to mention here, I'm just rounding up here, is migration to the cloud and digitization. Digitization is talking about how can you take some of the advantages that information technology has offered by moving some of the things you do into the digital domain and into the internet. So cloud is this kind of something where your computer services, your computational services are available for you to rent from companies like Amazon, company like Oracle, company like IBM, and also, so that even when the generator in the office is not running, your server is always available 24/7. Your capacity to do that now, your capacity to receive payment online, your capacity to allow your workers to do things remotely, these things are going to drive your capacity to actually compete better in a world that has become local and at the same time globalized. You are not competing with a company in Nigeria anymore because information asymmetry has gone. A young man that wants to buy shoes can see the best possible shoes available in the world through Amazon.com, through Alibaba.com. So it's no more a question of the only thing that is available for me today is the shoe this guy has to select in Lagos. If he buys that shoe from Macy's or JCPenney in USA, Mall for Africa will help deliver it within the next 1 week. So that is a problem. You are now competing with people that are not bounded by geography within your national boundary. It means that the shift in customer behavior will actually must be captured by the manufacturers if they hope to build businesses that are actually going to be very, very competitive in the 21st century. So I will just summarize to say this, that the future of the nation has to go with our capacity to produce things. It has to do with our ability to bring more optimality between the market forces through demand and supply equilibrium points. Until we can fix those frictions, making it possible that providing electricity is actually an opportunity, not as a problem that we are complaining for decades in Nigeria. Until someone sees it as a business system that has to be fixed as a market friction and using the capabilities that we have as a nation, where many people are trained, where many people have multiple degrees, where many people are sound, but in a nation that doesn't produce really much. Our nation, we cannot rise as a people. We are still on this flattened GDP for years when the population is rising. And if the population rises when the GDP is not growing, it means we are just accelerating hunger, accelerating poverty, accelerating hopelessness in a nation. And I think we cannot do that. Nigeria will rise when our great entrepreneurs will rise. And until those pioneers take up, the future will remain outward. But I'm very optimistic that the future is one of abundance. And combining these market systems will enable Nigeria to rise to the mountaintop. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Prof. That was an exhortation, a serious and loud one. I have heard it, and I hope our audience out there have heard it. And I just hope that the young ones who are coming up will also hear it. So it's not about blaming the government or being so strongly opinionated. It's about taking the bull by the horn. It's about embracing productivity, putting your money and your effort where your mouth is. It's about the shift. It's about the change in behavior. It's about adopting the spirit of entrepreneurial capitalism. Take the bull by the horn, find out the problems, produce a solution to it. And Prof believes that we are well equipped. We are a nation of intelligent people. So we are able to do this if only we can embrace that spirit and stop blaming people and stop blaming the system. So thank you so much, Prof. Somebody also asked a question in that line, and I believe you have done justice to that question. So in the absence of further questions, someone is saying awesome presentation, indeed an awesome presentation. So the next speaker is Chinedum Ucheoma. Chinedum is a manager at Oracle NetSuite, overseeing the Nigerian market. He has over 10 years experience in business consulting, software advisory, and implementation. He's an experienced professional with a strong progressive history of driving dynamic growth of new and existing businesses, services and product sales, client and customer relationship management across various industry sectors within emerging markets, and most importantly, increase revenues and profitability through business automation. He's passionate about people and business growth through digital transformation and prospects of future of IT. He will be talking to us today on how digital transformation can assist Nigerian manufacturers within and beyond the pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome everybody to this session today. Thank you very much, Professor. I think you gave a very, very beautiful background towards the manufacturing sector and the challenges they're facing, which I have some of the things here as well, which is so, so awesome. And for today, we're going to be talking about going digital manufacturing, and basically that this presentation, Grow Beyond. Yes, I'll be talking so much about digital transformation and leveraging this digital transformation to how Oracle NetSuite will actually help you as a manufacturing business get better and effective. And I think all of us would clearly agree that growth isn't easy when it comes for businesses trying to grow or scale. It's harder and harder. And as the world becomes more digitally aware with an increased acceptance of technology as an efficient tool for growth, many businesses are now really, really playing catch up. But I basically assure you not to worry, because as the world's most widely deployed cloud ERP solution with thousands of customers who are successfully growing their businesses with Oracle NetSuite, we've learned a few things, and I want to share some of those words to grow by with you today. This is basically our safe harbor statement, just trying to let you know that everything we're sharing with you here today is basically to give you a product direction on what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. And if we need to get into a formal contract on using our solution for any of the projects, we'll definitely have different documentation for that. And for today, the agenda will be taking through Grow Beyond, the current industry challenges, which I am super excited that Professor actually tried to touch so many of this nicely. Why cloud, why Oracle NetSuite, and any questions that might come on. I think I've gotten this initially. And looking at when you talk about challenges towards the growth path, and this is basically looking at across all businesses, no matter the kind of business. We basically understand that most businesses measure their outcomes of their business, either looking at top of the line, where they look at the revenue, their profits, the gross margin, or the asset balances, or maybe they look at below the bottom line, where they look at the expenses and liabilities. And most businesses basically assume that all is going on nicely once these metrics are doing well. But there might be hidden threats that businesses do not actually notice, which are usually called blind spots. And these blind spots basically prevent businesses from seeing the trends that hamper growth. And these are things like your flawed revenue metrics, the inefficient business processes, maybe new competitors that are coming on board, and you find out that such business thinks, oh, we're still the champion in the market. At the same time, trying to figure out, is employee productivity actually at the optimum to deliver what the business wants? And as businesses keep growing, the level of control also changes. You find out that in some organizations, especially the manufacturing sectors, where you have so many employees, it becomes very, very difficult to actually now check in on every employee, maybe a sales rep or somebody in the warehouse or in the production, and things basically start dropping one after the other. With multiple systems, again, trying to look at things that happen. These are very, very common challenges that we've seen across businesses. And at the same time, you find out that there are lots of multiple destabilizers, the economic changes. You can use this period where we're now, the COVID-19 period, where most businesses never believe the nature of things that are happening to them. Localization gaps. You find out a particular manufacturing company wants to open up a branch in Ghana, they're trading in Nigeria, and it has to also be in line with the legislation that covers that region. Foreign exchange volatility, it's so key for us here. FX changes are becoming a whole lot. The Naira, every now and then, it's all changing and flipping. And at the same time, there are issues with audits and taxes and tariffs, which Professor actually nicely explained on how these things can actually affect and destabilize businesses. And at the same time, there will be certain inflection points in the company's journey where a company is trying to understand what can we do to actually change when things change as well. There are so many evolving business models. All of us are doing everything virtually now. Most of us never believed that this will ever happen. There are new marketing channels. More businesses are being done via e-commerce platforms, Instagram, WhatsApp, and the likes. And so many times, everybody's talking about AI, artificial intelligence. These are some of the challenges that basically hamper growth of any business. Now, when we take this directly towards the manufacturing industry and how these challenges affect them, we can look at things that have to do with acquisition. Most manufacturing businesses, you find out when they want to grow so big, a particular company will acquire another one, and basically we term this a kind of inorganic acquisition. You find out policies are different, ways of businesses are different. These keep on being challenges in terms of the business strategy of the industries. At the same time, you find out they have multiple systems they are using. Some systems are used for the manufacturing, some are used for the inventory, a particular one for the production process, a particular one for finance. And as business grows, they need to have a system that actually has everything together in one place to ensure that everything works nicely. Talking about extensive supply chain, every manufacturing industry wants to make sure that they have a very, very extensive supply chain that can connect all the suppliers for all the raw material they need to produce their products. Now, look about business processes. Talking about the optimization of their businesses, the e-commerce platforms, how to actually have manufacture with the least manufacturing methods to ensure that they remain profitable. All these things remain a very, very key challenge to the industries. And again, I want to thank Professor because he nicely hammered on this things, on how people need to realize that these challenges, we need to find a way by accepting digitization as a perfect tool for effectiveness. Now, what exactly is digital transformation? I think we've kept on saying digital transformation over and over again. Digital transformation is basically the use of new, fast, and frequently changing digital technology to solve problems. It's basically about transforming the processes that were either non-digital or manual to now get them into a digital process. And these processes can basically be the business process, the culture of the company, the customer experiences, because markets and businesses keep changing and the market requirements keep changing as well. And one very key example of digital transformation is cloud computing. And this is one of the places where NetSuite stands very strongly on that. But before I move forward, I'll just share some information from Gartner. Gartner is one of the top market intelligence and global research companies. And Gartner said something that 87% of senior business leaders say digitization is a company priority. Now, one thing is actually understanding it as a priority, and the next thing is actually putting it into practice by adopting this methodology as a way to become more effective in your manufacturing process. Now, Gartner also went further to say firms that practice discipline and display confidence will be rewarded with sustained advantage over their competitors. To do this, they will have to definitely navigate increased uncertainty and distraction. Now, what exactly will help you navigate this uncertainty and distractions? And I'd like to tell you about the blueprint, which will help you for growth, and which is what digital transformation is totally about. As we've worked towards a mission to deliver one system across the cloud to help all our businesses, we've learned that there are three key areas where businesses need to look out. You look at the visibility, you look at the control, you look at the agility. Then the visibility in itself, what exactly does visibility mean? Visibility basically means being able to see how the business has performed historically, or how it's performing now, or being able to also spot the trends that could lead to opportunities in the future, where you're talking about how am I going to grow further? How am I going to improve efficiency? How am I going to multiply branches? How am I going to recruit new employees? At the same time, the greatest threat to this growth itself is loss of control, because the moment you don't have control, you can't grow the right way. And talking about agility, agility in itself is basically capitalizing on this opportunity, just basically responding quickly when this opportunity comes on board. We'll take a very clear example again as the period we're in. The moment COVID issue came up and government started saying we need to shut down everywhere, so many businesses go into panic mode. And this panic mode was simply because the tools to keep operating virtually were non-existent. So agility becomes very, very key, because it helps you to respond quickly when these opportunities or these trends or these changes happen. Control in itself is super great. It helps you to know the paths to growth. But at the same time, when this path changes, agility is the only thing that will keep you on the right track to keep you going forward. So I'll say again, digital transformation is really key. And as I mentioned earlier, cloud computing is one of the key ways we talk about digital transformation. Now, what really is cloud? Everyone keeps on saying cloud, cloud, cloud. I think I'll just, this diagram here is actually very, very nice. I love it so much because of how it tries to explain cloud. But just to explain this a little bit, many established ERP vendors, within the industry just keep on coming, okay, we have a cloud solution. basically what happens is take an on-premise solution and deploy it in the cloud environment. And Gartner has tried with a quote here saying, hosting an application, it's not synonymous with SaaS. And SaaS is software as a service. And when we talk about SaaS, SaaS is about a solution that is built from the ground up as a cloud system, giving every business the flexibility, the same version, the access from anywhere with any device to do whatever they need to do on the system, scale nicely, and use it smoothly. So when it comes to cloud, every business that needs to adopt digital transformation within the manufacturing sector or any other business need to clearly understand why they need the right cloud solution to move forward. And with the right cloud solution, every organization is on the same system. When new updates are released, they get the same thing. Any customizations that's peculiar to their own operations are still retained, and everyone sails smoothly with the system. Now, why cloud exactly again? It gives you clearly a very, very awesome flexibility. So when we talk about flexibility here, it means from any device, let's use Zoom, for example, we're using here. Some people are connected via their laptops or the desktops to their mobile phones with their tablets. This is flexibility of cloud. And this is the kind of flexibility that NetSuite will give for anybody operating, whether you're going to be accepting requests from those in the store for any stuff, or basically you're in the production department where you need to do anything, or in the finance department where you need to see the dashboard on how you're trending. This is very, very awesome. Disaster recovery. You no longer need to worry about, oh, did my system crash? Did someone steal my laptop? Because you're rest assured that the right partner here, Oracle NetSuite, has all your documents, all your data in a safe warehouse. Automatic updates, it's one of the key things. Just the same way, every now and then you open up your phone, you see an update comes on board, you update it. The sweet thing with NetSuite and with a cloud solution is that these updates happen seamlessly. You don't need to be in an old version. Whenever something new is on board, you're on there. Now, capital expenditure is totally free because you don't need to incur any additional costs trying to host on-premise solutions or have desktop or servers or having a core IT person trying to manage the system. But everyone, it's simply free. Collaboration is so awesome, security top-notch, so friendly with that. I'll go a little bit to tell us a little bit more about Oracle NetSuite as a business. For NetSuite, again, we have over 20,000 customers running the same version of the solution, managing whether it's their manufacturing processes, whether it's their warehouse and distribution processes, whatever it is you're doing, engineering, whatever it is, managing the system, and over 10,000 employees globally across the world trying to support every business, making sure that this happens. And NetSuite, we pride ourselves as a first cloud company. When I talk about the first cloud company, NetSuite is the first cloud company when it comes to ERP solutions in the market. And definitely, that's to keep you rest assured that we've been here for so long, and we're here to support you going forward in your digital transformation plan. Just give me a little bit again about NetSuite. This is also a very nice chart and research by IDC Finance, where basically say, according to IDC Finance, this is a report for the top leaders for now and for the future. You can see that there, and the size of the bubble basically represents the share of the market of each of the individual vendors. And you can see clearly that NetSuite actually comes tops there. So again, rest assured that you have the right cloud partner to help you in your digital transformational journey. Now, what exactly are the benefits that manufacturing industries get to enjoy when they're on board NetSuite? So the results are the ability to compete in the marketplace, empowerment, to adapt and change rapidly when things are changing, business stability, the growth, improve operational efficiency, which is actually top-notch, because operational efficiency, you definitely be able to manage your costs, and it gives you greater visibility in all your businesses with the improved controls, all the proactive decision-making, and a faster time to value what you produce. And in the end, everyone business wants to make awesome profits once you have all those things in order. And NetSuite, again, as I mentioned earlier, being a true cloud solution, you can access it from multiple platforms and multiple devices and multiple browsers, as the case may be. And you have over 300 out-of-the-box business intelligence reports, dashboards, just the way you say there. For every user, you have your own unique dashboard to see. My colleague Samir is definitely going to show us more on this. And in the end, is that our customers are way more referenceable and up and running as fast, and it takes so much less cost to manage and do whatever it is you're doing. then what exactly are some of our customers saying when it comes to using NetSuite? You could see a sample of what they've been saying. It's been working, and it's working nicely. Yeah. And one thing I know for sure is change in itself, it's not easy, but the change towards digital transformation is clearly a true step that all of us need to take. And like the Chinese philosopher mentioned, that a journey with 1,000 miles begins with a simple step. So I basically try to encourage all of us within the manufacturing sector, within any other industry that is running a business, that digital transformation, it's one of the key things to embrace. And embracing that with Oracle NetSuite, it's the right decision you need to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chinedum, for running us through what Oracle NetSuite can do for digital transformation in the manufacturing sector. So a manufacturing business has different functions typically that must work together. You have the finance and admin, you have the factory, you have the procurement, you have the testing unit, you have a distribution unit, a whole lot of units that need to come and work together with teams. So Oracle, if you get to dive into Oracle NetSuite, you'll see that the solution is the best to help you achieve financial integration and even functional integration among teams within your manufacturing outfit. But one question I'll pose to Oracle NetSuite though is, great, we heard all the things that the cloud can do for the financial system and for the functions. But what about other challenges like, getting raw materials into the country for the manufacturing process? What about security on the highways? What about transportation? What about robotics? I'm just saying, I'm just trying to be mischievous here. So, but those are things that pioneers can actually begin to reason out. We don't need to wait for people or government or for the Western world to come and help us with robotics that can at least manufacture some things when people are not there. We can use I don't know if we can have cargo boats. For instance, in Lagos, you have a lot of waters, and there are some of those boats that the Lagos state government is operating now to help you move around. So cargo boats can also help to carry goods from one point to the other. And other states that don't have water, what is the solution? What's the technology they can use to carry the goods from the raw materials to the manufacturing place, to warehouse, to the customers? What are the solutions? Those are the things we need to begin to think. We Africans need to begin to think of. How can we control things even when people are not there? The manufacturing process proper, not just the financial processes. So that's just something I'm just throwing in the air. I'm not saying you should answer the question, but that's important. So we should just begin to think in that line, for the future of Africa. So Chinedum, we'll take all the questions for Oracle NetSuite when Samir finishes his presentation. So I'll just introduce Samir now. Samir is a senior solution consultant pre-sales at Oracle NetSuite. He works on Oracle NetSuite and Oracle EPM solutions. He has a rich experience in implementing finance, supply chain management, and project models for various industries: oil and gas, distribution, manufacturing, media and publishing, non-profit projects and services, etc. He has helped many businesses choose their ERP systems and manage the successful implementation of various applications. He's skilled in ERP project management and change management towards adopting a digital culture. In this webinar, Samir will share insights into the unique functionalities of Oracle NetSuite that could help revive, strengthen, and grow manufacturing businesses, and consequently the manufacturing sector within and beyond the pandemic.
Okay, great. So I'm trying to be time sensitive here, and I would like to start directly with presenting NetSuite application as described by Chinedum in terms of platform, in terms of overall capabilities. So as you can see, NetSuite ERP is a full-fledged ERP application. And as you can see here, it's based on multiple roles. So you can open it in any browser you have, whether it is Safari, Google Chrome, Firefox, or any mobile device as well. We have a mobile app that is available in the App Store. So you will notice as well that NetSuite is based on multiple roles. So you can see here I have got different roles: manufacturing department, sales, supply chain, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to connect now as a senior executive. Let's say, for example, the CFO. So in the CFO, I will get a dashboard that will illustrate my business. As they say, you know, if you don't know your number, you don't know your business. So you got all your numbers here. So I started actually with a subsidiary navigator in case you have different companies that you're managing within NetSuite platform. So it's so easy to navigate between any company you're looking for. So for instance, here, when I click into Nigeria company, for instance, so you will notice that all the dashboard is going to refresh and show me the things that are related to this particular company. Same if I click into headquarter, so that where the numbers get consolidated in a real-time basis. So I don't have to wait until the month end or until financial department runs the consolidation at the month end so I can get then my reports. And you know, for a senior executive, it's very important to see the numbers on the go. So if somebody created an invoice in the Ghana subsidiary, for instance, so the KPIs here will change automatically in a few seconds later. So as you can see here as well, I have a lot of reminders and I can configure that in NetSuite. So you can set up here reminders about things that I'm interested in following, such as things that I would like to approve, cycle count to approve, or work orders to approve, etc., etc. And you can see here there are plenty of custom reminders that you can create yourself, and you can publish them in your dashboard. So having a look at the key performance indicators, for instance, here I have got a variety of KPIs that I can configure. And let's have a look here, for instance, into my revenues. So I can click here into that row and I can see a graphic trend on how the revenues are evolving through the time. I can, of course, extract that into PDF, into an image, so I can use it in my PPT presentation if I need to. And as you can see here, I can drill down basically into transactions as well. So when I click into revenue, I have got 4 million, for instance, this year or this month. I click on it and I get my income statement report. And I'm going into financials, but I'll just move quickly into manufacturing. So it's really insightful here on how you can, from your KPI, get into your P&L. As a decision maker, maybe you may want to analyze this for a particular subsidiary. So let's say I'd like to look at Nigeria and I'd like to look at it by location. And I click refresh and I get my report that will show me my income statement based on different locations where my factory or my distribution center is located in. Like you can see here, I've got different locations here. And by the way, any report here that you see can be extracted into Excel, PDF, or convert into graphic chart. I can as well send it through an email or schedule NetSuite to send it via email at any point of time. Yeah, so I can keep drilling down into transactions really until I get to the root of the transaction. So here, for instance, I'm just drilling down, clicking anywhere, and NetSuite shows me here, I have got an item fulfillment, I've got an assembly build, and I can track here all the transactions. I can even click on it and I can find what is the GL entry that was impacting that particular account if I need to. So back to my dashboard before I move to manufacturing. As a senior executive, we are putting as well myriads of reports, around 250 reports that are accessible to you at any point of time. And I have added here a few shortcuts. So if I scroll a little bit down here, as you can see, I've got navigation. So in navigation, I've got plenty of reports. I would like to look at my sales by customer, customer profitability, inventory profitability, aging reports, any reports I'm looking for. So I'm just going to move now into production manager, for instance. So I'm just going to change the role now. I am the admin, so I can see all the roles. But basically in your company, the production manager will be having only that role available for him. So as a production manager, you see I have got a different set of dashboard now, which talks manufacturing. So I can see here the value of completed work orders that we have achieved so far, any reminders about work orders that I have to start, and I have got a lot of reports and KPIs as well. That allows me to see where I'm late, if there is any work order that is released, but I'm going late on it, and I can track what number of days of the delay. And what I can do as well is I can plan my manufacturing work as well. So here I've got a manufacturing task scheduler where I've got here different work centers. So I've got here, for instance, packaging section or inspection department, etc., within my shop floor. And I can say, I can look at the work orders that are planned on Sunday, for example, March 15. I can change the view to different month. And I can see here there is a conflict. So maybe I was planning to do these two together. So I may just change the planning on this. And I would just maybe decide to put it in any other date based on the availability of my resources during that period of time. So, and I can click on it and I can look at what is planned to start, when is the plan, the starting date, the ending date, and the percentage of completion as well. So I'd like to show you something as well more interesting into production. So when you connect now as a production control, things get even more interesting because I can actually look at detailed performance of my different sections or work centers by location as well. So you can see, for example, for this month or for this year in Kano factory, I have got the blending section and production section. And I can see the earned hours, the runtime, the quantity produced within a specific period of time based on my choice, or based on the section that I would like to analyze. What is the scrap that we are generating as well at the end? So for particular location, we can see that we are 139% of scrap, which is quite a lot for Kano region. So maybe we can do some root cause analysis, or we can look into further reports, such as by work orders. So for particular work order, how much time we spend, what we scrap, what is the scrapping percentage, and we can have a dispatch list as well. So in the morning, the production person can look at all the work orders that he has to go through the Lagos factory, for instance. So you can see here all the work orders that are planned for today. I can see that I didn't start those, and I can see that packaging will have his own dispatch list, the inspection, blending, all of these things are planned today, or they are having a plan within that timing and the hour of their dedicated slot. So moving quickly into production operation. So we support mobile device when it comes to manufacturing shop floor. So if I am, let's say, manufacturing a soap in the factory, and I can use my tablet, and if I am in the blending section, I can use my tablet, and this is like how the tablet maybe look like. And what I can do here is I can just select, so I am the responsible of this blender section, or I'm operating the blender machine. So let's say I would like to look at all the work orders that I have to do within that time frame. And I know that I have to produce that much quantity. So what I would do then is I just click on any particular work order. Yeah, let's say this one. And then here we've got real-time data capture. When I start the production in my tablet, I'll just click start. And then the time of the blending operation will start calculating. This will help me to calculate the time for machine, the time of call, the time of labor as well. So I can then select what items I would like to issue or consume. So I know that to manufacture that soap, I need some aloe vera, and I can select from that particular lot and for that particular bin maybe, and I can just enter what quantity I'm looking for. So I can just say just 1 kilogram for now. And then I can enter as well how much quantities I have produced of soap. If there is any scrapping, I can enter here what scrapping is, let's say evaporation of the aloe vera. So I can just say 1 pound got evaporated during the production. And then I can see what is the starting time and what is the ending time. I just click stop, and this will flow into costing as well as completion on the quantities that I can fulfill. So this is the final report I can have a look at. So this is the results of my work order. If I look at it from a costing perspective, I can see in the blending operation, I have planned 30 hours or 30 minutes based on the unit of measure. And I can see here the planned, and I can see any variance that has happened and how much quantity I have produced. So the same for the material, how much I planned and what is the actual, and I can track my variance in real-time basis. We are running short of time. There is a lot more to show. If you are interested, feel free to contact Chinedum, and I would be very happy to do a discovery session with you and get to learn more about your business requirements. And I would enjoy really working with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Samir.
Thank you, Samir, for that presentation and for sharing a demo of Oracle NetSuite. So to recap quickly before Magnus takes the floor, for manufacturers, you need to invest in machineries. You need to invest in resources and materials, labor, and the like. But one important investment you need to make is in a proper ERP that helps you put everything together. Last week, the Oracle team told us, Oracle NetSuite team told us that price has never been a deal breaker, or price of the software has never been a deal breaker between them and any manufacturer or any business that wants to use the product or the software. So we can see how everything helps you to plan everybody's work and bring all the functions together and make your manufacturing process more effective. So you can also measure profitability, costs, measure timelines, measure customer behavior, the supply chain and supply gaps, and a whole lot of things that will help you and your team run an effective and efficient manufacturing system. So thank you, Samir. Magnus, please come and do a recap for us. Come online, please, and do a recap for us of everything that has been said in a few minutes. And so we can take any other question and allow people to ask questions live as well. I can see hands raised. So Magnus, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. I can hear you. All right. So I think it's a very good afternoon again to everyone. It's been a very information-packed, bumper-filled session today. I'm very delighted with the information that have come from all our 4 giant panelists. And I'll quickly, there's so much information. I mean, if you were here, you could see my note, things I was scribbling, but Vivian has graciously only allowed me just about 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll just quickly like to start from the last speaker all the way back to the first speaker, so that I can sort of wrap everything up. What we're trying to do here is to give a guiding gap, a roadmap sort of for manufacturing firms to hear firsthand from the software owners, from key decision makers, from key professionals in the field and knowledge who've been there, who've done it, on what things they need to begin to be aware of to try and get their business or manufacturing concern going forward. So I mean, we've heard from the Oracle guys, Chinedum and Samir, thank you very much. And for what we've heard, adoption of technology will help businesses. It's clear. It's something that has resounded across all 4 panelists today, and especially in the manufacturing sector. Oracle NetSuite offers visibility, control, and agility. So manufacturing firms can have all of this in one go. I mean, the acting director general of chairman have said they've got about 3,500 members. And what we're saying here is for as many of those members who are online listening to us and who will still see a recording of this webinar today, we welcome to engage with VM Professional Solutions and Oracle if they want to begin to look, take a demo, take a peep into the features and functionalities of Oracle. And the solution has got great support for cloud computing. It offers digital transformation and helps businesses prepare to go into the next phase of the new normal, where social distancing, physical interaction, and ways of doing things and managing things, where people need to sit at home and interact with the business as if they were in the business, is there. Chinedum also talked about the advantages of cloud, especially with disaster recovery and security. Oracle is the first cloud company with about 200 with customers in 203 companies with about 10,000 plus employees. Some benefits for the manufacturing firms in using Oracle software is growth, growth options, giving them operational efficiency, capacity, utilization, and more importantly, control. There's so many other ones, and by the time the video is ready, you'll be able to catch up on that. And when Samir showed us a quick demo of the solution, he did share things along the lines of the super dashboard, the reporting available, the role-based model, where various departments and various units of a business would have the required access that ties to their specific functionality. More importantly, users and companies have great user experience and interface, and the reporting analytics is there, so you can export to all manners of other platforms, Excel, PDF, and what have you. And with that, I then begin to look at some of the comments that came from Prof. And I dare say, Prof, if you had been any of my lecturer when I was in university, I probably would have been graduated with a first class, because everything you said, it's like picturing your comment, and it sits perfectly in my head. I mean, we want to thank you especially for speaking to us all the way from US. We know it's not a convenient time based on time zones, but you joined promptly and you're still here. And you shed light into the history of the GDP, what lives were, what the GDP were 2,000 years ago, and somewhere around the 1750s, late 1750s, it spiked. And what has spiked this, from your comment, is that people began to innovate and people began to manufacture what they were innovating, rather than just talk like we currently do in Nigeria. And from your comment, you also says that manufacturers are there to help us turn our ideas into products, that they are the link between customers that make it possible for demand and supply to meet. Because without the manufacturers, we may not have those goods, those physical goods that people need. So the manufacturers are there to be able to make those goods and make it available, serves as a convergence for demand and supply to interact. And you also did say the problems in meeting demand and supply should be an opportunity in Nigeria. So those issues, those things that are the problem, electricity, road networks, new normal kind of infrastructure that we need, all of those things should be things that we need to see as opportunity, and people and businesses need to begin to position themselves to try and begin to produce those kind of services. And you did share insights that we don't necessarily need to wait for government. Yes, government are there. They are there to bring processes so that when businesses or new initiatives are in place, and there's a guiding principle of what we need to do. We need innovations. We need entrepreneurs to think deep, to begin to get those ideas out. And we did share some other ideas around strengthening the sector for manufacturing concerns, things like tax code, intellectual protection. We, even as VM, did suffer some intellectual property infringement. We're the first firm in Nigeria to bring out the tax law book, and we did have our own copyright issues, like you shared in your days when you were in job. So we're also knowledgeable about it. We're hoping that with government and the agencies responsible for administering and protecting patent and right of new innovations, that they may be able to do it well, so that innovations can be protected, and those who spend time, resources, and energy in coming up with those innovations, they are able to use it. So thank you so much, Prof, for your insight. And I'm trying to rush because I know Vivian is looking at me from the corner of her eye. Then want to thank Ambrose Oruche for his insights and what they have been doing from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria perspective. We want to encourage all our attendees who are not members of MAN to, as much as possible, go to register, pick up the forms. If you need referrals, you can come to us. We will refer, we will sort of give you some reference so that maybe if you're coming from this webinar, you might get some added benefits in linking up with Mark. And he shared insight as to some of the things they've done in trying to get business going, all manufacturing concerns, the role they've played in getting the governors forum together, in getting approvals, and some of the things that they also need government to do for them. These are the current situation. Things along the lines of getting the relevant government agencies like custom to assist with expedited clearing for manufacturing equipment or products that are coming in from outside of the country. Things along the lines of ensuring that goods that have been produced, that are being moved from one point to the other, can move freely without government, without security hindrances. We thank you for the role you've played so far, or that your association has played so far in trying to make sure that you reduce as much as possible the hunger crisis. Beyond the COVID-19 crisis, we were also getting to a situation where we probably will be having a hunger crisis. But thank you for the insight you've shared. Thank you for the platform you also created in getting all of the manufacturing concerns together, so that when they have issues, they're able to put it up on the platform, and yourself and your team is able to get the relevant government agencies to provide response. So at the end of the day, we've been able to bring all of this together. We're hoping that our attendees can then begin to ask relevant questions. If there are any, I see 1 or 2 questions popping out, and I will yield back to Vivian. But thank you very much, guys, for the insight, and we hope that we will be able to get this information across to as more people who are out there. Thank you, Vivian, for this time.
Thank you, Magnus. So there's one question here to Oracle NetSuite team. Ejovi Agarin is concerned about security of intellectual property secret recipes for manufacturing. If they put it up in the cloud, what happens when it's hacked? What happens when there is a breach of security? What does Oracle NetSuite have in place to prevent such incidents?
Sure.
Samir,
can I take that one, Chinedum?
No, go ahead, Samir. Go ahead. Take it.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the question. Great. So in Oracle, now NetSuite is part of Oracle, and we are investing millions in security. So we have got the latest certifications in terms of security. And by the way, the data that is stored in the cloud, it is encrypted. So, and we even ourselves cannot access to your data. So if we would like to access your data for some maintenance or for some help, etc., we will require from you a key that will allow us then to encrypt and access the data to solve a specific problem. So we have got the latest certifications in terms of encryptions, in terms of network security, and we have got as well a physical security protocols that we follow. So we do our best, and we strongly believe that the data with us is secured more than if it is with you.
Thank you, Samir. So I think that's just the only question that we have. So we've stayed up to his own. Sorry, Magnus.
So Vivian, yeah, so sorry, there was one question, and I know you've already given an answer, and it was directed to Prof. I just wanted Prof an opportunity to take that question, that answer again. I don't know if you can just read it out for Prof.
I think Prof is offline already.
Prof is not online now.
Okay, all right, carry on.
Yeah, so we'll just, I think we should bring the webinar to a close now. It's going to 2 hours, and we planned 1 hour, 30 minutes again. Okay, so everybody, all the panelists, please, I would like you to say your final parting words and then goodbyes. For me and my team, we say a big thank you to all our panelists for the insights you've shared, for the exhortations, for making things known. You know, information is power. You cannot measure what you cannot see. You can't even act based on what you don't understand. So now I'm adding my own quote. So with all the insights all our panelists have shared, and the questions from the audience and the answers to them, and the ones our panelists for the previous weeks have shared, a lot of things are beginning to make sense and come together. So we thank you so much. We thank you, our attendees, for joining us today again. Next week, we're going to be going digital human resources. So we'll talk about human capital issues, how to digitize human capital, issues with bringing employees together, issues with legislations and contracts of employees, and retaining talent, reorganization, and all that. So it's going to be another insightful section to be taken by experts in the human resource field in Nigeria. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you to everyone, and I'll say stay safe. Please follow the guides by the health authorities. Do your best, keep your family and you safe. If you want to reach out to us, you can go to our website, www.vm.com. Or if you want to ask us a question, go to clients@vm.com. We are also on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So you can go there and see what our pages look like. And there are loads of information going out almost every day on tax and on software and other business and regulatory issues that can help you to make an informed decision in your business. You can also chat with us on WhatsApp or call these numbers on the screen. So we're just, one dial away or one chat away. If you have any issues with technology, you don't know where to start from, Oracle, NetSuite, you want to implement it in your business, you want other digital solutions, you want other business solutions, please call on us. So thank you so much once again, and have a good day, and see you next week. So please,
thank you.
Oruche, please give us your parting words.
Yeah, let me thank you for the opportunity to talk to your viewers around the world. Also, giving me opportunity to heard about Oracle program, ERP, and I think there's need for us to meet to see how we can also sell the product to manufacturers in Nigeria, to see how they can take advantage of it, knowing that we are now in a digital world, and I think it will be of good collaboration if two of us work together to share the software to our members to see how they can take advantage of it. I must also commend Vivian for what you are doing. Thank you so much for bringing us. I believe that this platform created will help to spread the good news about manufacturing and its important place in the economy. Thank Professor who went through, I was enjoying his discussion on manufacturing, and I was much impressed. Thank you so much. I wish you the best in all you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Chinedum, please share your parting word.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll basically say, let technology free your mind. And Oracle NetSuite is also here to free your mind for any form of digitization across all your businesses. And thank you very much again for organizing this session. And please do share the recording so that everyone will definitely have access to it.
That will be done ASAP. Thank you, Chinedum. Samir, please, your parting words.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivian, for giving me the opportunity to speak up in that event. I am African, and I really believe in African dream. And I'm very glad to be part of kind of events. And I really look forward to work with everyone in helping them to put my experience really in digital transformation and help them really transform. So looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samir. So with that, we'll bring this session to a close. Goodbye. Enjoy your day. Magnus.
All right. Thank you very much.
Magnus.
Thank you, Vivian.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.